Buenos días, clase. Buenos días, señor Azul. Feliz Año Nuevo. Happy New Year. Vale, para empezar mi clase hoy, to start my lessons today, empareja pregunta con respuesta. See if you can match my questions with the answers. Sacaos pizarra blanca o papel. Escribid los números 1 a 7 y empareja número con letra. Sacaos pizarra blanca o hoja de papel? Bien, take out your whiteboard or paper and pencil, write down the numbers 1 to 7 and match question with answer. Tenéis un minuto. Pause the video now to give yourself time to do it and then come back to check your work. Bien, número 1. ¿A qué hora te despiertas? What time do you wake up? Entonces, número 1, me despierto a las 7:05 F. Número 2, ¿a qué hora te levantas? What time do you get up? Me levanto a las 7:15 C. Número 3, ¿a qué hora te vistes? What time do you get dressed? Me visto a las 8:25. ¿A qué hora te duchas? What time do you have a shower? Me ducho a las 8:10. ¿A qué hora te lavas los dientes? What time do you brush your teeth? Me lavo los dientes a las 8:30. ¿A qué hora desayunas? Desayuno a las 8:10. I have breakfast at 8:10. ¿A qué hora vas al colegio? What time do you go to school? Voy al colegio a las 9:20. I go to school at 9:22. ¡Fenomenal! Vale, ahora. Aquí hay una entrevista. Escuchad bien. Me llamo Davina McCall. Hola Simon, buenos días. ¿Qué tal? Me llamo Simon Cowell. Bien. Normalmente, ¿a qué hora te levantas? Normalmente me levanto a las 9:30. Pero los fines de semana me levanto más tarde, a las 11. Después me lavo los dientes. ¿Y a qué hora te duchas? Generalmente me ducho a las 12:45 y luego me visto. ¿A qué hora desayunas? No desayuno. Odio desayunar. Pero los fines de semana desayuno cereales con mi hijo. ¿A qué hora vas al estudio de televisión? Voy al estudio a las 2, pero los fines de semana no voy al estudio. Voy al parque con mi familia. Gracias, Simon. Adiós. Vale. Ahora, sacaos la hoja de papel. Take out your worksheet. So, here are 7 questions in English about the interview we've just read. I want to know, what time does Simon normally get up? What time does he get up on weekends? What does he do after getting up? What does he generally do at 11:45? What does he do for breakfast? Where does he go at 2 o'clock? And where does he go on weekends? See if you can answer those questions and then busca estas frases. See how many of these expressions you can find. Vale. ¿Habéis terminado? Have you finished? Hopefully you've paused the video, you've answered your questions and you've come back to correct. So let's see. Número 1. What time does Simon normally get up? Let's have a look. Normalmente, ¿a qué hora te levantas? Normalmente me levanto a las 9:30. What time? 9:30. Número 2. What time does he get up on weekends? So we found normally, so this must mean los fines de semana, weekends. Me levanto más tarde a las 11. So what time does he get up weekends? 11 o'clock. Número 3. What does he do after getting up? After getting up. Después me lavo los dientes. What does he do after? Good. He brushes his teeth. What does he generally do at 11:45? So we know 11:45 is 12 menos cuarto. Generalmente me ducho a las 12 menos cuarto. What does he do? He has a shower. One mark for he has a shower. What does he do for breakfast? No desayuno. He doesn't have breakfast. Odio desayunar. He hates to have breakfast. But los fines de semana desayuno cereales con mi hijo. What does he do weekends? Good. He has for breakfast cereal con mi hijo with his son. What does he do at 2 o'clock? Voy al estudio a las 2. Estudio de televisión. At 2 o'clock, he goes to the TV studio. Where does he go on weekends? Los fines de semana no voy al estudio, voy al parque con mi familia. Where does he go? Good, the park with his family. So then we had to find these expressions. Weekends. Well, I'm going to look at question 2. What time does he get up on weekends? So that's going to help me. Normalmente, los fines de semana. Entonces, weekends, los fines de semana. Check. Correct. Número 2. Generally. ¿Cómo se dice en español generally? Generalmente. Generalmente. It's like our English word. And mente in Spanish always is used for ly. So generally, normally, they all end in mente. ¿Cómo se dice later? So I'm going to look down and see, is there anything here that's going to help? Not for this one, but I'm going to need to see what I can work out. Now, we know weekends, I get up at 11. Tarde. Tarde is our word for afternoon. Más tarde, more, afternoon, literally means más tarde, later. Más tarde. Then. So, we've had this before, we've used our word then. We had it in that activity we did in school. ¿Cómo se dice then? So, we go through, me levanto, después me lavo. Generalmente me ducho y luego quiere decir then. Vale, after. We've had this one before as well. ¿Cómo se dice after? Después me lavo los dientes. After. Normally. What time does he normally get up? Normally. Normalmente. Bien. Ok. Chicas, escuchad bien. So we've picked out our verbs and we've picked out our time phrases. But let's have a think about our verbs. So I told you that in Spanish that we have 3 different types of verbs. We have verbs that end in AR, verbs that end in ER, and verbs that end in IR. This verb, desayunar, is what I'd find in the dictionary, and it means to have breakfast. But I don't want to say to have breakfast, I want to say I have breakfast. So what do I do? Have a look. First of all, let's click on the arrow. First of all, I've got my verb desayunar and I cross off my AR. Then, to say I, there's what I've got left, and I just add my O. Bien. So if I add my O, I now have desayuno. I have breakfast. So how can I change it to you have breakfast? Well, I come back to here, I've taken my AR off. So, go down, desayun, and this time, because it's an AR verb, I add as. Desayunas, which means you have breakfast. Okay, so let's have a think. Let's do these examples. On here you can see I've got two verbs. Cenar, to have dinner. Celebrar, to celebrate. But como se dice I have dinner, you have dinner, I celebrate, you celebrate. Pause the video and see if you can work it out. Bien. ¿Listas? Are you ready? To have dinner. Well, I'm going to cross off my AR, leaves me cen. There's my cen, and I add my O for I have dinner. You have dinner. So, I take off my AR, I've got my cen, as you have dinner. Celebrar. So I take off my AR, celeb, oh, celebro. You celebrate. Here's my star. I've taken off my AR. For my you, I add my as. Celebras. Phenomenal. But what about those other verbs? The verbs like er and ir. Well, this is really easy because er and ir are exactly the same. So this is my er verb here, leer, to read. What do? Well, first of all, I take off my er. So I'm left with L-E. I want to say I read. What was my letter for I? Good. Leo. And leo means I read. Okay. You read. I take off my er. And this time, because it's an er verb, I have to add es. Les means you read. What about ir verbs? Well, we do exactly the same. Here's my verb escribir, to write. So, I take off my ir, which leaves me with escribe. I know is o, escribo. I write. If I want to say you write, I start with my escribe, and then I add es, which means you write. So, pause the video again now and see if you can work out these. Vivir is my verb to live. Como se dice I live, you live. Romper is my verb to break. Como se dice I break and you break. Pause the video now to give yourself time to work it out. Bien. Vivir. So, I take off my ir. Vive. I or vivo. I live. You live. Vive. You. Es. Romper. Take off my er. Romp. Oh, I break. Rom. Bes. You break. Fenomenal. Fantastico. Okay. Now, sometimes in the dictionary, you might find a verb like this. But, Senor Saul, there isn't any verb that ends in se. Ah, but have a look. Maquillar. And that se means oneself. So it means to put makeup on oneself. So, don't panic if you find a verb like that in the dictionary. I'm going to ignore the se and pretend it's not there, and maquillar. So I take off my AR, and I add my O, maquillo, for I, and for you, maquillas. Now that se tells me that if I want to say I put on my makeup, I have to change my se to a me maquillo. And for you, te maquillas. Fenomenal. Estupendo. Entonces, ahora. So, I'm going to ask you now to see if you can work these out. And when you work them out on your sheet, you're going to work out how to say I and you for each of these verbs. Pause the video, go through, work them out, and then when you've finished, come back on to check them. Bien, ¿ya estamos? Let's see how you got on. Okay, caminar, to walk. ¿Cómo se dice I walk? So, I've crossed off my AR, and I've got camin, O, for I, camino, I walk. You walk, cam, mean, us, you walk. Estudiar, to study. So I cross off my AR, es, dud, I, add an I, O. You study. Es, du, di, us. Trabajar is my verb to work. So I cross off my AR, tra, ba, and what was my letter for I? O. Trabajo. What about for you? Well, here's my start of my verb. What do I add for you? Us. Trabajas. Sing. ¿Cómo se dice I sing? Take off the AR. Can. T. O for I and you. Can. Tas. To train. I train. En. Tren. Take off my AR and an O. Entreno. You train. En. Tren. What's my ending for you? Us. Phenomenal. Okay, let's have a look at these ER and IR. So comer, to eat. So I'm going to cross off my ER. So I've got com. I. Oh. You. Now remember, it's an ER verb. So I take off this ER, and this time I add an E, because it's an ER verb. S. Comes. You eat. Beber. Cross off the ER. Beb. Oh. You drink. Beb. ER. S. Abrir. To open. So I take off the IR. And I've got a. Bro. You open. A. Take off the IR. And then I add the same ending as my ER, a, press. To decide. I decide. De, si, decido. You decide. De, si, des. Fenomenal. Fantástico. Vale, chicas, ahora, para terminar. Bien, vale, para terminar, to finish my lesson today, I want you to use everything we've done, our connectives and our verbs, and see if you can work out how you would say each of these sentences. So let's do the first one together, first of all. Normally, what time do you have a shower? Okay, normally. ¿Cómo se dice normally? Good, normalmente. So let's see if we can find no. Okay. No malmente. Now, think back to the start of our lesson. How do we ask a question? At what time? Fenomenal. ¿A qué hora? Normalmente, ¿a qué hora? Now, you have a shower. Now, think, you have a shower. What's my verb? We know me ducho means I have a shower. So what's my question? You te duchas. And because it's a question, I need to make sure I put my question marks in. Normalmente, ¿a qué hora te duchas? So using your worksheet, using what you've done today, see if you can work out how you would say each of these questions. When you've done that, send it to me. And there'll be a prize for the first 3 with the most correct sentences. Chicas, fenomenal. 3, 2, 1. Adiós, clase. Adiós, señor Jesús.